the housing collapse is coming, and it's probably going to come to an area close near you. And how do I know that? Well, we got some data that's coming in from Washington, D.C. So check out this article up here where it says that Washington, D.C. just saw a 20% housing price reduction in new common listings because they're being let go. And one thing I tell you is, because I also invest in real estate, so I know something about it. And when you are investing into real estate, you never want to be the person that's going to be left holding the bag or catch a fallen knife. And so when there's thousands of new listings coming on the market, and everybody's going to underbid because now it's a race to the bottom because you want to get out of it. And why is that? Well, they're going to get laid off, right? And I made videos like this long time ago. I made a video actually about this 8 months ago, and I said, you got to be super worried if you're going to buy something, if you're going to do something, because there's going to be unstable 2025 with layoffs, with everything else, and you got to be careful. This was 8 months ago, and I got a comment like this. Let's go over it. You're so wrong, my friend. I work for the state of California Human Service Development. They can't lay me off because if they lay me off, the state cannot process all the unemployment benefits requests submitted by the laid off Californians. And to this I say, it is going to happen, because if you have the federal government up here, they're doing layoffs. They're probably most likely going to do cuts to budgets too. So when they're going to do cuts to budgets, your state's not going to receive funding. They're going to have other issues. And what does that result into? More layoffs. So the government, your local government, has to cut areas, right? And if the government, the local government leaders were smart, they would not cut services like this lovely gentleman or woman is working for. But since the government can't even figure out if it's the right hand or the left hand that they should, chop off or whatever they want to do, they just cut them both off. And then they're going to make really stupid decisions. And when you make really, really stupid decisions, you do the wrong thing. And so it wouldn't surprise me if they just cut a whole bunch of jobs for people like that, because then they can't process unemployment because they are understaffed. And there's going to be a whole bunch of other stuff going on. And it wouldn't surprise me if they then threw the money out somewhere else, and they wouldn't even have to do budget cuts if they would have managed it correctly. But then we're talking about the incompetency of the state and federal level. And since that is huge, wouldn't surprise me if they just did the wrong thing. So now let's look at these layoffs from the Daily Mail, right? So Washington, D.C. housing market plummets as Doge lay off thousands of federal workers. And this is not an isolated incident. We're going to see a whole bunch of areas that people move to because of remote work, of everything else. And when you were moving to another area, from Texas to Florida, from California to Florida, because you were like, you know what, Florida has so much better weather, it's so much cheaper, and I'll move with my tech salary. I just got this huge pay raise, no state taxes. My office said go. All of a sudden, your office says come back to the office or you're out. What do? You know that you can't afford your lifestyle in Florida from your tech salary, because where you're at, there's just not that many paying jobs. And so what do? You either have two options: quit, find something locally. No, actually you have three, because you could start your own thing, or then you move back, right? And most likely you're going to move back because that's just the easiest thing. And humans, especially Americans, kind of take the easiest way, the easiest route, because with the least amount of resistance, right? There we go. I got it. Okay. Since Trump took office, Elon Musk's Department of Energy, and in the wake of the layoff, droves of former federal employees have been packing their bags and put their homes up on the market. In November, the median home in the nation's capital was about $700,000. By February, the median home dropped by 20%, bringing the home price down to $560,000. And now to all you haters and everybody else that keeps screaming in my comment section, you need to buy. You just lost 20%. You just lost 20% of your investment. You lost your down payment if you can get rid of the thing. So if you're in areas that happens, your house is not an investment. And you got to be aware of, hey, stuff might happen, stuff might change. And so not everything that we love to label an investment is an investment because you just lost 20% of your money. Okay, TLK found out there are now nearly 8,000 homes listed for sale in the Washington area, DC metro area, and almost half of these were put on the market in the last 30 days. There has been a surge in new listings of homes over a million. Yeah, so over a million, according to TKL. There are 520 listings worth a million, and then they kind of go on into the numbers, and it's just that all these people they got laid off. They're moving because they thought they had a remote job where they only had to go in once in a while. And I have a family member that had to go in, I think, like once a month or something. And she lives in a bigger city. And so she said, going in for about an hour drive each way, or an hour and a half each way with traffic isn't too bad. But all of a sudden now they're saying that, you got to come in every day. So now it's 3 hours a day times 5. So you're starting to see that is a pay decrease, and it's going to cost you more in gas and all these other types of, in car investments that you got to make. And welcome back to the office. And I know when I lived in California, I had friends, or I knew people, I had to say it that way, that worked at Caltran, right? California, this little logo right here, you've probably seen it if you've been to California. And coffee badging was the way to go. If you were a Caltran, you just badged in, you left, and you came back at 2 o'clock, and you were just doing something. Nobody knew exactly what you were doing, and it was just kind of a free-for-all because, California was like, oh, we can't monitor this, we can't monitor that. And so now, all of a sudden, we're seeing, hey, money's getting tight. Once everybody has free money circulating like crazy, you can be more lenient. You as the government can be more lenient. You as your personal own finance person can be like way more lenient to yourself because you're like, I'm gonna make it up with another sale and people have money, so it's gonna be all right. But now all of a sudden, money's tight. People need to think about it. Can I afford this pizza going out? Can I afford this? Can I afford the new car? Can I do all this stuff? Because insurance is still sky high. Can I afford this? Can I do it? And as Americans, I've noticed this because when I lived in Europe, people didn't really care about, am I going to drive, what are these? Am I going to drive a new Ford? Am I going to drive a new, whatever, Blazer it is? No, or a Civic. No, I don't really care at all. But the Americans are like, let me just get into a whole bunch of debt. And then all of a sudden, it's like, I can't make the payments. Repo lots stocking up. And when you are in a situation where you moved to a rural area, and you're like, this is never going to happen to me, don't be the greater fool. Don't think that this cannot happen to you, because stuff like this can happen to anybody. And that's why I always say, when you're in the comment section screaming and yelling and saying, this is untrue advice, maybe you should just kind of read a little bit, reflect, and say, maybe I should put some insurance on it. Maybe I should be a little bit more cautious and start networking, increasing my market value, and just kind of going to trainings and being more alert, trying to help other people out, because you never know when you're going to return the favor, or you actually need something from somebody and you have been given them for quite some time, and all of a sudden it starts coming back to you. And I've noticed this with companies and social media. Once you start posting, there's opportunity because you put yourself out there, you're vulnerable, and then all of a sudden opportunities come. And once opportunities kind of come to you, then you have to pick and choose which ones you want to pursue, which ones you don't want to pursue. And you can then say, maybe I do want to work remote. But if you're not putting yourself out there and you don't have the opportunities coming, you just got to pick what's out there. And I always love when people say, can you come and help my business out? Can you do this or can you do that? And I always say, there's enough other coaches that are way, way better than I am. I can't coach your business. I'm not an expert at it. But you should hire somebody that comes in and really, really provides you some value. Because if you're a tire shop and if you're a grocery store and you get somebody that audits it and has actually really, really good practices in place that is like 1 or 2 steps ahead, you can learn a lot, right? So you can say, hey, how do I get my guys more motivated? And maybe they'll say, you know, you got to get them more free lunches. Or if you invest into a $500,000 nicer tire machine, you'll make your money back in 2 years and you can process more cars a day. So these are the things that when you hire the right people, you can kind of get to, right? And so you always got to look at the data, the numbers, and yeah. So that is a little bit about when you're running a business. But when you're a federal employee and you got laid off, then all of a sudden you're like, oh man, now I gotta figure out what I'm gonna do. So what are you gonna do? You're gonna send your resume to a whole bunch of people, to a whole bunch of places, and hoping to get something. And if you haven't, please like and subscribe. I do these videos all the time. So, and if you have questions, you can always reach me via email and send me articles, and I try to respond to all of them. So yeah, that's nice. Back to the video. So if you are a federal employee in DC and you just let your house, you just listed your house on the market, you got to either do a few things. You can either retire, call it done, or then you got to find your next opportunity. And this is why I said earlier in the video, you really got to put yourself out there, start posting. And I got somebody an email, and it's right here, and they said that they're going to do better, that they're going to put themselves out there. And I love that. I love when people say, hey, you know, I'm going to put myself out there, I'm going to start posting, I'm going to start providing value to your network and all that kind of other stuff. Because if you're starting to provide value, you're starting to network, you're starting to just be active, you're going to start noticing that your world's going to change. And it's most likely going to change for the better if you're not going to be writing rude comments and going all crazy like Kanye does. But when you're going to provide positive content, positive encouragement to have people to like, hey, I'm going to help you out. Yeah, there's going to be people that are going to try to take advantage of you. But hey, it's a numbers game, right? If you help 100 people out and 2 or 3 of them really try to get one by you, that's all right, because these other 90, 95, 97 people will really carry your word on, and then it gets around, and all of a sudden you have a flourishing community where you help people and all kinds of other stuff. And then, hey, once you did that, you get favors, right? They say, hey, I'm looking for a new job or something. My job's kind of rocky, or I'm not getting the sales I want. And all of a sudden, they say, why don't you come work over here? Yeah, we'd love to have you. All of a sudden, you switch dealerships if you're in sales, in car sales, or you do. Or if you're a technician, you just switch jobs or do something. But you got to provide the value first. Because if you provide the value first, then it's a no-brainer for most people to say, yeah, we're going to hire Jamie. Yeah, we're going to hire John. These people have been providing value and been doing things and are independent thinkers and have all these traits going for you. But if you're grumpy and all this kind of other stuff, no bueno. So if you moved to an area in Colorado, and because I see a lot of people in the Bay Area that moved to Colorado, and then they're saying, you know what, we're going to be closing down tech in that area and you got to move back. The cost of re-entering is just gigantic. The cost of coming back is just insane. So I have to say, most of it is to blame influencers like myself who said, you know, this is going to be the way of the future. And I see a whole bunch of other people that have been saying, you know, remote work. And I thought, hey, remote work's going to stick around for at least a few more years. But no. Remote work did not make it into 2025. And so, is this our fault? I think so. I think influencers got really carried away. Yeah, did productivity come up? And this was my thinking. If productivity comes up, then it's a no-brainer for companies. Because in my company, I look at the bottom line, I look at the spreadsheets, I look at the numbers. And if you have a bigger company, it might not be all about the bottom line. So if you make 10, 15% more revenue, this might not necessarily be what you're looking for. You might rather have your people be in the office so you can have control over them and do other things because you have alternative agendas, right? DEI and all this other stuff. And who knows what their agendas is. They have a quota to reach, or they got all these other things that they might have to reach and do rather than just saying, hey, we need to make more money. And I always thought, hey, if they're making more money, the world's a better place, right? The company's making more and all this other stuff, so it should make the case that they've done it. But no, this is not the case at all. And I had a friend of mine that worked at a bank, and he was in IT, and they had yearly projects, and the yearly project got done, I think 4 months beforehand, and they said, we've never been so productive as working from home, and we've never reached a deadline so early that we thought we're not going to reach a year beforehand, and then we smashed it out so early and we hit a home run. But now they're asking us to do back into the office, and in the office, quality and productivity went down again. But that is not what they're looking for, right? And so, yeah, I don't know. DEI, making sure to control the people, no idea. But you gotta be smart. You gotta be thinking, hey, if my area and everybody else is a remote worker and your street is full of remote federal workers, maybe it's time to list your house for sale and say, you know what, let's do this and do it in a hot market rather than being the last one and taking a 20% pay decrease. And only you know what's best for your family, right? I'm not telling you to do anything. I'm just saying, hey, never be the last one holding the bag. I always like to leapfrog ahead. I always try to be the one that kind of does it first. If there's gonna be a market that's emerging, I like to buy first before everybody else does. I also like to get out of it before it reaches the top, right? Because that's just what I like to do. I like to look at the numbers. I like to look at migration patterns. I like to read the local news, see what's going on. And when people tell me, oh, Las Vegas is gonna run out of water, and then I always say, I don't think so. Because when you look at all these real estate prices, you look at all these huge casinos, water flows to money. And when you have money, you can make a lot of things happen. And Las Vegas is a very, very wealthy city. And Las Vegas has a lot of votes. So they cannot let this go, because then it would change the state dynamics of voting. So yeah, I don't know. Let me know what you guys think about all this. But yeah, prices are gonna most likely drop with all these people. And I'm telling you, these resumes, these people that are gonna look for jobs, they're gonna start doing the resume AI applying, gonna flood the market with resumes. So be ready and listen to my advice. Start networking, start providing value to your community in whatever way, shape, or form. And this was it for this video, and I'll see you in the next one.